Hello and good evening, guys. Today it is Sunday, February 20th, 2022. For the first time in what has been far too long, in my opinion, I'm finally doing a non-weekly roundup video here on the channel. For anybody wondering, I've been very busy outside of YouTube in recent weeks, and I just have not had enough time to sit down and be a frequent YouTuber. And it's been unfortunate, but it is what it is. So first off, where do I begin? So first off, I did recently do a video sharing my thoughts on this, wondering if maybe it was a prototype reverse retro uniform. According to my knowledge and the knowledge that I've found on many different places such as Twitter, supposedly this was a third jersey design that the Flames were considering actually for this season, but they scrapped it because according to some of the higher-ups or people with an insider scoop on the Flames' plans for a new third jersey, they decided to wait till next year because they've finalized something that they feel is better. So if you want to watch that video, feel free to do so. You just basically click my channel, click the video section, and you'll find it. But yeah, so this is a prototype. They've decided to go with something different. So I kind of have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be the 03-04 Stanley Cup run red jersey as a throwback third jersey, which if they decide to go in that direction, I'm okay with that. This video does have to tie in with the Calgary Flames though. So I did a video recently about this prototype here. I also did a video for my viewer Andre sharing my thoughts, finally sharing my thoughts on the Flames going full-time retro. And this is basically going to be a bonus part 2 to that video. So this is another video that I want to dedicate to my viewer Andre, and I'm so sorry for taking as long as I have. But Andre, this video is for you, and of course for the rest of you if you're interested too as well, of course. But I remember Andre, I believe he did ask me, my viewer Andre did ask me to talk about the Flames throwback uniform, so I wanted to make sure I got that done. There is one more request that I do want to make sure that I do, and then I'm planning on making some changes to the channel after that. So what those changes will be, I plan to get the ball rolling on those changes in the coming month or two. But until that happens, just be patient with me. I'm trying to get this done and trying to get a bunch of stuff done outside of YouTube as well. So please bear with me. But anyway, I recently did a video sharing my thoughts on the Flames going retro last month, and this is going to be a part 2. And this was the part 2 that I planned to do before, but I got sidetracked. But anyway, here's what it's going to be. So it's my concern, basically, this is a bonus video, but anyway, how do I word this? Okay. I do not want the Flames switch to the retro uniforms full-time rather being just part of a trend. You know, I read that Sportsnet article online where they interviewed the head marketing guy. I think his name's Ryan Popowich. Please correct me if I'm wrong, and I apologize to that guy if I pronounced his name wrong, got his name wrong. But they were talking about trends in the interview and how, you know, at first Blasty was considered a horrible design, and now all of a sudden in recent years people have wanted it brought back, which of course Calgary did do last season as part of the NHL's reverse retro program. We know that. So also to tie into that as well, I thought that this might have been a reverse retro prototype, which turns out it's actually a prototype third jersey that they at one point were considering bringing out for this season, but they scrapped it because they felt that they wanted to wait a season to do something else, a different design, which they feel is a better choice. So I'll get into that in a little bit as well, because I think I would put my money on the Flames scrapping that in favor of this design coming back next season. It would not surprise me as well, especially considering that we now know that Buffalo is bringing back their black jersey from the late 90s and early to mid 2000s. It's going to be their full-time third jersey starting next season. So, you know, seeing another design that was worn in the 2000s, which was this one here, making a comeback, does not surprise me. And as a third jersey design, I think this will look good. But as a full-time jersey, no way. That's my view. I don't expect everyone to agree. Now, anyway, you know, for the longest time, I've been a huge advocate for the Flames to go full-time retro for years. Basically since the beginning of my YouTubing days, 6.5 years ago. I have wanted the Flames to go retro and follow the path of the Edmonton Oilers back in the Reebok era when they actually were smart enough to be a blue team, not an orange team. The Oilers should always wear blue, whether it's navy or royal. They should, and in my opinion, they should just keep the 80s royal blue and white uniforms and never change them again, which I actually have a funny feeling that's going to happen next season. So, back to the Flames, you know, when they were talking about trends and how, you know, people really wanted the Flames to go full-time retro, I'm a little bit concerned that down the road, the Flames management or owners and people behind the scenes, I'm concerned that they might think that this is just another trend where right now they're in the let's go retro trend, and then down the line they're going to think that a bunch of fans are going to want the Flames to go back to the 2000s uniforms or something. And I really hope, I'm hoping that for this time around, the Flames, now that they've gone back to these uniforms home and away, I hope that these are here to stay for good. You know, the Calgary Flames 80s uniforms that they've now gone back to, in my opinion, are two of the most beautiful uniforms in the NHL. And what I also love about them is that the Flames have a unique color scheme of red, athletic gold, and white. Red, white, and gold. And you know, I mean, if the Flames want to have a third jersey once in a while, where maybe it's a black jersey or maybe it's a throwback to the early 2000s, hell, I could even live with a Blasty jersey as a third jersey if the Flames and their fans really want that to be the case. You know, but I just hope that this time around the Flames leave their uniforms alone. And truth is, I'm actually not a big fan of the idea of the Flames having a third jersey starting next season, to tell you the truth. You know, to me, the Calgary Flames are one of those teams now that have one of the most beautiful sets of uniforms in the National Hockey League. And I just feel that, you know, this is a case of less is more. They have one gorgeous away uniform now. This is the best away uniform in the NHL, in my opinion, right now. I'm not kidding. And the Calgary Flames home uniform, it's one of my absolute favorites in the NHL too. I mean, I think the Flames have the best uniforms in the NHL right now. In terms of the Adidas template and the collars and everything, the Flames got every single detail perfectly done, in my opinion. And I just hope that this is not just going to be seen as some trend until 10 years down the road where they want to shoehorn black into their uniforms again or go back to their 03-04 Stanley Cup final run uniforms. I mean, as a third jersey, I mean, if the Flames decide to bring this design back, could I live with it? Yeah. It's definitely the best Black Sea era design that the Flames have had. I mean, the Reebok uniforms were just a catastrophic downgrade from these, even though these are not my favorite, to tell you the truth. I was never, you know, growing up, they weren't the great. When I looked at old video clips, the Flames throwbacks from the 80s, I always preferred those over these. I'm not going to lie. And then Reebok showed up, and these uniforms got a massive, overwhelming downgrade with the Reebok transition. And the decision to put the Alberta and Canadian flags on the shoulders of their home and away jerseys for so many years was just you know, I understand the mindset that their former owner, Ken King, had about it. I get where he was coming from, but still, putting flags on the shoulders, I've never liked it. That Alberta flag stood out. The flag stood out like a sore thumb. And it always reminded me of some type of jersey ad, because it looked so out of place. And then when the Adidas redesign happened 5 years ago now, can't believe it's already been 5 years since Adidas has switched, since the NHL switched from Reebok to Adidas. But you know, ever since 2017, when they switched over to Adidas, or back in 2017 rather, you know, the Calgary Flames, at least they took their home and away jerseys, they got rid of the piping, they actually went to and got rid of the italics on their letter and numbering font, which was good. But, they still kept the flags. It's too bad that back when Adidas first took over, I would have still wanted those uniforms gone anyway, but it would have been really nice to have seen this shoulder patch logo on this prototype you see here be on the shoulders of their last jerseys that they thankfully finally just got rid of last season. But, I mean, and then finally, the Flames started deciding, oh, let's wear our throwbacks as our designated home uniform in the playoffs a few years back. And I started to, once they started doing that, I thought, hey, maybe the Flames are finally going to go full-time retro. Then in the 2019-20 season, the Flames played in the Heritage Classic against the Winnipeg Jets just before the pandemic started. And then I knew as soon as that Heritage Classic was announced that there's no way that the Flames would not be bringing this design back. And I was right. It was a really nice Heritage Classic matchup, and it was cool to have a game in Saskatchewan too, in my view. And then, with Calgary, then for the play-in round that they had to do because of the pandemic shutdown, they were talking about wanting to at least to wear the retros home and away, but the NHL said no or something. So the Flames decided, okay, we're just going to wear our home and aways for the playoffs, which they did. And then the following season, for the 2021 season, basically, because there was no 2020 games in that season, they were all played in 2021. It was a shortened season. But anyway, the Flames went full-time retro, and then they brought in the reverse retro design, and they kept their previous home uniform as a third jersey for one last hurrah. And then now this season, they've dropped that jersey entirely and now are just wearing the throwbacks home and away. So it's been a gradual transition, and now that the Flames have done this, I just don't want to see them go back and add black to their uniforms or touch their home and aways again. In my opinion, they should have left them alone back in the 90s. These should have been around since day one all the way through to today. If they wanted to add a third jersey now and then, like the Blasty jersey, fine, whatever. But to change these entirely, I think, has always been a massive mistake. Truth is, I'll never understand the love that people have for this uniform over this. When I look at a Flames uniform, this is, the bright colors represent fire to me. And I just think they look better. And I love that they stand out. There's enough red and black or red and navy blue in the National Hockey League already. If the Flames want to do a third jersey with the Black Sea on the front, by all means. But, I'm even going to go a step further and say this. I actually, I'd like to see the Flames just not bother with a third jersey. They're one of those teams just like Detroit, just like Montreal, where I think that, the home and away jerseys are so damn good. Just stick with those. Even the New York Rangers. Could they do a third jersey again? Sure. I've seen, that last Reebok era third jersey was great. If they wanted to bring back the original Lady Liberty design, sure. All right. Not the reverse retro. I thought that sucked. But, there's some teams in the NHL that just don't need a third jersey. And I actually believe that Calgary is one of them. Third jerseys are nice to see something different. Sometimes, you get teams like Columbus that come up with a third jersey and it's like, wow. That's awesome. I love seeing that now and then. I actually think the third jersey for Columbus would be a great home jersey with a matching off-white away jersey. But, I get it. I don't blame teams for wanting a third jersey. And sometimes if it's a good third jersey design, it's nice to see it out on the ice too. Some examples of great third jerseys over the years. I always liked the Canucks Reebok era third jersey. It wasn't my favorite jersey in the world, but it was, as a third jersey, it was nice. Carolina's old Reebok era third jersey was great. It was my favorite Hurricanes jersey of all time, even to this day. You know, you look at other third jersey designs over the years. I thought that the Colorado Avalanche and their burgundy jersey with the diagonal word mark was always a nice third jersey growing up. I always loved it as a kid. Even today, I still love it. The Oilers navy blue third jersey, the gear from the early to mid 2000s, that was a cool jersey too. I've always liked that design, even though the royal blue and orange is my favorite. The 80s uniforms are my favorite for the Oilers, but that is a nice jersey too. So, yeah, there's been nice third jerseys over the years. I mean, could the Flames next season come up with a great third jersey? Sure. But I just feel like, you know, I feel like the Flames are one of those teams that don't need a third jersey. And I just hope that this full-time retro move is not just something that's going to be temporary for the next 5 to 10 years. I hope that this is permanent. I hope that these are here to stay this time for good. Because these are some of the most beautiful uniforms in the NHL, in my opinion. Now, if only the New Jersey Devils and the Edmonton Oilers would get their you-know-what together and go back to the uniforms they had, both teams had at the end of the Reebok era, then the NHL would be looking pretty damn good overall, in my opinion. And Tampa Bay needs something new too. So does the Anaheim Ducks. But yeah, I wanted to do this video, and I wanted to make sure that I got this video, this extra bonus video I wanted to make for my viewer, Andre Dunn. But yeah, I have concerns about the Flames because, as you know, after reading that article, I've wondered, I've been thinking, you know, I just hope that the Flames don't see the retro uniform request from the fans as being part of some temporary trend, only to be replaced by some new uniforms down the road with black on them, or some modernized take on the retros. Just, you've got your best look now, stick with it. If you want to modernize a third jersey or come up with a third jersey that's a modernized take or something, or a throwback to the 2000s, or even a blasty jersey, whatever. But for the love of God, Calgary, you've got your best uniforms back now, finally. Leave your main home and away jerseys alone. Please and thank you. So, with that, guys, I'll call it a wrap at this point. If you have any comments, feel free to comment down below. If not, that's fine too. And until my next video, you guys, as I always say, take care, and as per usual, bye for now.